welcome to episode 313 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for people who play Magic the Gathering. Whether you're sitting at home jamming some arena, you're at the kitchen table with all your friends playing some Commander, or you're heading out to a GP Magic Fest. Whatever. Or PPTQ at your local game store. We are here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Meghan.
And on today's show, we're going to talk a lot about the pre-release that happened over this past weekend for Ravnica Allegiance Guitar Solo.
That's the full name of it is Ravnica Allegiance Guitar Solo?
Yes, it is.
I did not realize that.
You know, yeah, it was too many letters for the hashtag on Twitter, so a lot of people don't say it.
They really should have pushed that marketing harder.
I agree, but I feel like Domri, Planeswalker, he's raising his hands, and somebody on the internet was like, oh, it'd be so easy to just put a guitar up in those hands.
Oh, it's so true.
And I think that was the original art that got left on the sidelines.
And they just snipped out the guitar.
They just cut out the guitar.
They snipped out the guitar.
Yeah.
So, Maria, what's happening today?
Well, okay, Ravnica pre-release stuff. We're going to be talking about that.
Mostly just that. We'll also have, of course, a flavor text theater for you.
Yes.
And maybe you've listened to the show in the past and you're like, wait, what about my weekly dose of Magic news? Well, our news can now be found on a separate podcast that's just 10 minutes or less.
Yes.
That gives you everything that you need to know that's happening in the Magic world news-wise, and that's called The Upkeep.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. Last week was our first episode, so this week will be our second, and it comes out every Monday in the afternoon. You can find it now anywhere that you find fine podcasts. Anywhere fine podcasts are found.
Fine podcasts. Fine? Are you saying fine? Because I kept hearing you say find every time.
Fine, with an E. Anywhere that anywhere you find pod. Oh my gosh.
You're saying find podcasts.
This is a she sells situation.
Anywhere that you find podcasts, you can find The Upkeep. And if you're wondering to yourself now, where will I get my news? You could have gotten it yesterday.
That's right.
With The Upkeep, because it is out, as Maria said, on Mondays.
I'm also going to put in the show notes a link to subscribe to that. If you can't find it on your Apple iTunes podcast yet, it was just approved. So you might have a little bit of trouble. I'm not exactly sure whenever you're listening to this, but no matter what, you'll find the sublink in the notes to this show.
There you go.
Also coming up, we're going to talk about Arena and kind of the environment or the metagame that's developed on there around Best of 1 and the coming Best of 3 for Competitive Constructed.
Who is excited? I am excited.
I'm so stoked to not play a nonsense deck that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, exactly. Because do you know what? Best of 1 is a warped format.
It is.
It really favors some strategies more than others, but we'll talk about that more in that section.
Before we get our show on the rails, because it is a train that moves in one direction, big thanks to everybody who supports our show and all of our endeavors, really, on patreon.com/GLHFmagic.
Yes, whether you are listening to this, you watch our streams, you watch our videos on YouTube, you now listen to The Upkeep, you are supporting all of that work and more by subscribing to this on Patreon and throwing us as little as $1.25 a week.
Yeah.
All of that content. It's cents per content. It's fractions of a cent per word. It's so many hundredths of a cent per word.
That is accurate.
So,
yeah, big thanks to everybody who joins. And you might be like, oh, so many people support them. But I can tell you for a fact that we only get like a couple of new subscribers every month. So
exactly.
It really matters.
You could be amongst that handful. Amongst is one of those words that's got the ST ending, that's kind of like leaving our language, but we still have a few. And I think it's so cool. Because I could have just said among.
Yeah.
You could be among. Amongst.
Like slept. That's one of them.
Slept.
Like what? It's kind of weird. Slept.
It does sound like
it kind of strange?
It sounds like maybe the way a sloth would move as opposed to the past tense of I was sleeping. Like how does a sloth move?
Slept.
Oh, it slept.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
How the sloth just slept across the tree branch.
Exactly. From now on, and if someone is like, how does a sloth move? You can be like, oh, they slept.
I know that very specific scenario is going to come up. And
for you.
You are going to use that.
Someone on the street will run up to you and be like, how do sloths move? And you're going to really be able to help that person out.
It works too for when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
I slept out of bed.
Man.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes sense. And a big thanks to cardkingdom.com. Use our affiliate link, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. If you want to buy anything from Ravnica Allegiance, use it. Use it every day.
That's right. We're getting ready to do a friend draft with our friends, which is one of our very favorite events. Our very first draft of the format in person once the set comes out is with some of our friends. And it's a great time.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. So yeah, we'll use sleeves and playmats and more from Card Kingdom for that. And you could do the same.
If you want a sticker in your order, just put it in your order notes and Card Kingdom will throw one in there. They will literally throw it from across the room and it'll land.
It's very cool.
It's
very talented.
People should put that on YouTube because it's like making a shot across a basketball court.
Yes,
the
that's
accuracy.
how far away it is.
All of our claims on this show
are 100% true.
Let's talk about the Ravnica Allegiance pre-release. What do you say?
Holy cow, Maria. I have played so much Magic in the past 5 days.
I know. It's like just a monumental amount of Magic.
A monumental amount of Magic. Starting with, we played the streamer event last Wednesday, the special streamer pre-release. And then I streamed a pre-release sealed event on Arena on Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday was my break. Saturday.
Back at it.
Sunday. Back at it. Wow.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I can't be stopped. I don't want to stop. I would play more.
No, it's great.
This format is awesome. Headline.
Do you know what? It's so different from guilds.
Yes.
Right? You think to yourself, sometimes you're like, oh, they're on the same plane. Will they be different enough? Like, will it scratch the itch?
That's how I feel about people who are on planes.
You walk onto a plane and you look at all the people sitting there and you're like, are these people different enough?
At least that's what I think about first class. Am I right? Zinger.
Yep.
Anyway, continue.
Anyways, but it feels completely different.
Yeah.
It's a completely different set. It's a ton of fun. So if you haven't played it yet, what are you doing?
Highly recommend. Yeah.
Highly recommended. So Maria, let's talk Saturday.
So
in person.
We were at our favorite local game store here in Minneapolis, Lodestone Coffee and Games. Check them out if you've never been there before and you're in the area.
They have, no matter what kind of Magic you like to play, you can go to Lodestone and play.
Absolutely.
And it's great. You can they also have D&D on Thursdays, so you can go play D&D there if that's your jam.
By the way, we're going to have a whole video up about our pre-release experiences on our YouTube, youtube.com/goodluckihigh5 on Wednesday, so you can check that out for a little bit more.
See all of our friends' hot takes.
Yeah, we've got hot takes from our friends. We've got us building and cracking our packs.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
It is. All right, Maria, so tell us.
All right, surprising absolutely no one. I chose Rakdos as my pre-release guild as an homage, to the first deck I ever drafted, which was a Rakdos deck. And I just feel just so much nostalgia for the Rakdos cult. And they're so cool. I mean, the design of them this time, I think they hit the nail on the head. We love the flavor text. We love the art. We love the direction this set has gone. So let's talk a little bit about my deck. I assumed, because of, Return to Ravnica, I had some old biases in place about Rakdos and the way that it played, which was very, very aggressive. They had the Unleash mechanic, which was really cool. You could choose to play a creature with a +1/+1 counter, and it lost the ability to block, or you could just play it like normal. Anyway, so the mechanic this time around, of course, is Spectacle, which is wildly different, but does still care about damaging your opponent, which is very Rakdos. So what I'm trying to tell you is I built my deck with an aggressive bent, and I also played aggressively with the deck. I think that was a big mistake, and my first hot take about this format is I'm going to talk about sealed specifically here, is that Rakdos, I'm not 100% sure about draft, because I'm sure you can draft an aggressive Rakdos deck, is that it wanted to be more mid-range or control than I built or wanted to play it. And I think that was a big problem with my gameplay and my results that day. I went 1-3, which is not very good, despite having what by all accounts looked like a really good deck. I had Judith, the Scourge Diva herself, in foil. She was my promo. Electro Dominance, which is just an absolute bomb.com.
Great card.
Rakdos Firewheeler, which is the 4/3 that when it comes in does 2 to creature or planeswalker. Oh, that's right. And 2 to your opponent, which is just dumb and just straight up dumb. 2 Fireblade Artists, which allow you to sacrifice creatures to get in your last points of damage. A couple of copies of Get to the Point, which is
Great
unconditional removal with a scry. I was splashing a Planeswalker in Domri here, which I had excellent fixing for. Blah, blah, blah. The deck looked good. Skewer the Critics, 2 Blade Jugglers. You're like, Maria, how did you lose? Well, I just explained it to you. I was going too hard, and I wasn't really playing how the deck wanted to play, which was control my opponents and then win eventually, the way that kind of more controlling or mid-range decks win. But that being said, I loved Rakdos. I think Spectacle is a really cool mechanic. I just could not keep up with Gruul and Simic, especially, who have giant creatures, and my creatures are just, let's face it, never ever gonna live up to their creatures. So I have to find a different way to win.
Yeah. Speaking of Simic, that's what I was on Saturday. Lodestone just hands out the pre-release kits, and then if you want to trade, you can. And I just got Simic, and I was like, I'll try this. Why not? It has blue. That's a great color. And my, you all know how I feel about blue. Best color there is. And I went 3-1 with a deck that felt really strong. The one match that I lost felt, it felt like a variance match where it's like we were very evenly matched, and I just ended up on, my coin flip came up face down. Anyways,
tails. That's the word for it.
Exactly. What? Whatever. My side was face down.
I call face down.
Shut up. That's how I call them, don't you? Like,
just wait for the Super Bowl when team's like face down.
It's face or face down. It's the two. Is the two ways that you can say it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I had Hydroid Crassus, which was my pre-release card. Great card, obviously. This is the Jellyfish Hydra Beast, X green blue for a 0/0. But when you cast this card, you gain half X life and draw half X cards. Round down each time. Flying. Trample, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Also, I want to give everyone that note about this because it's a little bit confusing, because since you're drawing half X cards and gaining that much life, you will want to put that many counters on it. Remember, the counters are X, and it's only the card draw and the life gain that's half of X. I certainly almost made that mistake a couple of times and saw other people almost make that mistake a couple of times. So just keeping an eye out. But obviously also, card is great. I cast it on 4 mana so many times where X was just 2. And it's still just like, okay, here's a 2/2 flyer, and I'll draw a card, gain a life. Great card.
Yeah. Excellent.
I had Precognitive Perception, which is draw 3 cards. If you cast it during your main phase, scry 3, draw 3. It's so good. It's so good. If you cast it during your main phase, I also had a Mass Manipulation.
Oh my gosh.
And 2 applied Biomancies. And there were times when it's like, okay, well, I have to draw one of these cards by next turn.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I cast this on my main phase, I'm just going to.
Yeah. You feel so much inevitability.
If you look at 6 cards, you're going to be able to find what you need.
Yeah, I love that feeling.
It was just, casting was great. Like I said, Mass Manipulation.
Card's dumb.
Yep, card is dumb. Honestly, I usually only cast it to take one thing.
It's fine.
Sometimes I took a second
Mind
thing,
control.
but it's so, you
have to be aware of this card, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it is only a rare, and much like Niv Mizzet, you will see it around, and it's extremely powerful. And be aware if your opponent has a lot of islands, because they're going to cast it.
They're going to cast it. Not that there's anything you can do about it.
No, there's not really.
Shark to Crab. How is this card just an uncommon?
That card's bonkers.
Yeah, this card is so good. 2 green blue for a 4/4. Fish Octopus Crab. And it has Adapt 1 for just 4. It adapts for 4 mana.
Every time I see an adapt 4 cost, I'm like, that is the cheapest and best deal of my life.
Yes. Skittering Eel has adapt for 3. It becomes a 5/5 for 3 mana. Oh,
Card
anyways.
is also good.
And whenever you put a +1/+1 counter on it, it freezes down a creature. It taps and freezes. It's so good. It's so good. I don't even understand. But casting this just felt like winning the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyways, I also had Skatewing Spy, which is the 3 and a blue adapt creature for 2/3. Each creature, it's a 2/3. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has flying. And I had this plus 2 of the 5 mana 4/4s with Riot. So it's just like you play this on 4, and then I would be like, okay, make a 5/5 flyer, make a 5/5 flyer. It was just, the deck was great. I loved it. It basically
seems super fun.
It went on the plan of have a lot of evasion and a little bit of ways to disrupt them. I didn't even have a ton of removal. Basically mass manipulation, a Titanic Brawl, and 2 ways to bounce creatures. But it was enough. It got the job done.
You've got Starform Hybrid in there too, which is a 2-drop, which has really, really impressed me.
This card is great.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Agreed.
Another tiny little 2-drop I just wanted to mention, since we were talking about blue here, is the 2/1 for 2 that you scry to when it enters the battlefield.
So good.
It is really good.
I love it.
Much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
All right, so my second pre-release, I went Gruul, because if I can't win by attacking, how about I try and win by attacking? And pick the Gruul clan, smash, smash, smash. And my deck had some great Gruul cards, most notably Rhythm of the Wild, which is an uncommon enchantment that gives your non-token creatures riot, and they also can't be countered. But the thing is, this card is dumb, and it's an uncommon, and it is also going to be everywhere. And we were talking a little bit about main decking enchantment removal in this format. And you know what? I think it's fine.
Yeah.
You will just lose to this on turn 3. Maybe if you can get out of the way, you can save yourself. I don't know. It's just so backbreaking.
Yeah.
The 3 mana 3/3 for 3 that can't be blocked by creature tokens. Rumble Belt Runner is a classic Gruul All-Star, and you're playing it for 4 if you wait a turn. I had Territorial Boar, which is a 2/2 for 2. Territorial Bear, more like it. AKA Pig in the Woods. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, so kind of ferocious, it gets +1/+1, gains vigilance until end of turn. And that card, while it didn't impress me in my particular build, it did impress me on Saturday. I thought it was pretty good. What else do I want to talk about here? Scorchmark is dumb. Nikia of the Old Ways, you got to be a little careful with that card. She says you can't cast non-creature spells. She's a 5/5 for 5. It doubles your land that your lands produce. But that is an actual real drawback, and you do have to be careful about that. Skewer the Critics is a lightning bolt that is not an instant. FYI. I had a few people try to cast at instant speed, and I tried to cast at instant speed too one of the days. Not quite that good. Burning Tree Vandal lets you rummage. Anyway, so this deck that I made in Gruul, I think was basically kind of a mini version of Gruul. My creatures just weren't big enough. Even with my Rhythm of the Wild, they just couldn't compete with the other bigger Gruul decks that were out there, like your I can't remember the name of the beast that comes in as a 7/7 or as a 6/6 hasty trampler.
Wrecking Beast.
Is it just, oh yeah, I came in like a wrecking beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, or just anything that Simic ends up growing to its obscene proportions. But yeah, it was just too small. Gruul definitely needs the beef at the top, much like a nice pastrami sandwich. This did not have the beef.
Is pastrami beef?
Isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Right?
Okay. I just, all of like corned beef, obviously beef.
Yeah.
Roast beef, obviously beef. Pastrami, I didn't know. It could have been anything.
Ooh,
but beef seems likely.
It does seem likely that it's beef. I'm like 99% on that, but I don't know. I guess it could. If it's not beef, I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, Gruul, beware. You cannot really do a mid-range to small Gruul deck, which this was, unfortunately. It kind of won't work out for you because you're just going to get beat up once again, like I did, from bigger and better Gruul or Simic decks, and you just can't stand the test of time. Overall, though, it is a fun guild, but my result was a disappointing 2/2 with it. I myself was a pig in the woods. But
at the end of the day, we're all just pigs in the woods.
But I had a good time playing it nonetheless.
So my second day, I picked Azorius.
Yes. Was it like a homecoming?
It was. Do you know what? Playing it, I was like, I feel great.
Yeah.
And it was also great. I went 3/1 with this as well. And in this case, I talked about all of the rares that were in my Simic deck. This one had one, which was Deputy of Detention. And this deck was still so good.
Yeah, you don't need rares.
No. Card of the weekend. Card of the whole weekend.
Ooh, what?
Chillbringer.
Oh, Chillbringer.
This card is so good.
Say the good word about Chillbringer.
Chillbringer is a 4 and a blue. It's a 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. What? It's so good. We were talking about how we would still play this if it didn't have either side of the text on it. Like it could just be a 3/3 for 5 that tapped. without flying, or if it was a 3/3 flying for 5,
Yeah,
you would
great.
still play
it.
And as it is, it's a common and it's just busted.
Yeah, it's very, very deceptively good.
Yeah.
Especially in Azorius, because as we've both found, I think me through drafting it and you through playing it in sealed, Azorius not necessarily playing the control game.
No, it was very tempo based.
Tempo.
Yeah, and I talked about this a little bit in our vlog, which you can watch on Wednesday. Yeah, it was great. I had 2 Chillbringers and 3 copies of Senate Griffin, which is the 4 mana
yes.
3/2 flyer. And there was a game where I just went like Senate Griffin, Chillbringer. And it's like, you're never
GG.
Opponent's never going to win that game. You
GG.
just have 9 power flying in the air and tapped 2 of their things. So I also loved this one. It also had 2 copies of Senate Guildmage, my favorite Guildmage.
Oh, that Guildmage
It's
is
so
great.
good. And we talked about this a little bit the other day, but I think I realized that the gain 2 life ability, in my mind, right, me being the card drawer that I am,
Yes.
I looked at it and I was like, it only has 1 ability. It loots. That's its only ability, and it does not have a second one. That's not entirely true, but I found that it was correct a lot of the time if I was looking for lands because I had spells that I wanted to cast in my hand. It was more correct to just save myself and bide my time by gaining the 2 life incrementally and then having the cards. Like, I didn't want to loot away spells in order to draw lands.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that you will do sometimes early in the game if someone's pressuring you. And you're getting attacked by a bunch of creatures or stuff like that. And you're like, oh my goodness, I need to draw a land so that I can cast something else.
Yeah.
I need to establish a board presence. I felt like I made that mistake when really it was just like 2 life is a lot. And I would have drawn lands soon enough. Like it would have given
really
me enough
is.
time. And then I would have had spells. So many spells in my hand to cast.
This card will buy you so much time.
Good. It will buy you all the time in the world.
Honestly, it's just like I've played this card. I played a sealed online and I thought, oh, I've played this. Now I literally cannot lose.
Yeah, it really
That's how I
feels that
felt.
way.
It was 2 mana.
Yeah.
The
2
one-
mana, and
the-
it's 1 mana to
The
activate
1
either
mana
ability.
activation cost is just nuts.
It's so good.
Yeah, that Guildmage, calling it right now, best Guildmage.
I really love it.
I haven't played with I played with the Orzhov one so far, and so I can't really make that call, but I'm still making that call. I'm making it right here.
Who cares?
You
Who
can hold me to
cares?
it. I believe it.
Yeah, it was great. I loved this deck, and like you said, it felt a lot more tempo oriented.
Yes.
All of the blue colors felt tempo oriented, in large part because of cards like Chillbringer.
Yeah.
Where it's a body and a tap effect. So good.
So something we were worried about going into this pre-release was that the Orzhov mechanic of Afterlife was going to be busted.com.
I mean, I do think it's very good.
It
I
is
think
very good.
Orzhov is a very strong guild.
However, I didn't think it was oppressive. I didn't
No.
feel like it was too good.
No, not
I was
at all.
I was a little concerned because I'm like, what? A 2/1 for 2 with Afterlife 1 and Vigilance? Table flip. No, it didn't feel like, oh, now I can never win because they have Afterlife creatures.
I will say the one pre-release arena event that I played on Thursday, we were Orzhov.
Yeah.
Actually, we've played 2. I haven't finished the other one. That one's Gruul and is also going great, actually.
Great.
It started off poorly, but then the last couple of rounds, it's just been like, they're big creatures, and they come in, and we attack people with them.
Yeah.
Life's good.
Yeah. And what did we say? Oh, what did we say about you? Oh, your deck that you had 2 Kaya's Wraths in it?
Yeah, the Orzhov one on Thursday had 2 Kaya's Wraths. That deck was disgusting. We went 7-1 with it.
Wow.
It was so good.
You can watch Meghan play that, by the way, on our
Oof.
YouTube channel.
Yes, we posted it.
It is up there.
Feel the double wrath.
Whew.
You really
That
can.
is really the gift that keeps on taking.
All of your opponent's creatures away.
I felt during the release, too, that all of the guilds seemed viable to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I sucked it up with Rakdos, but other people were successful.
Yeah.
Gruul, was great. I didn't do great with it, but other people did. Simic seems very, very strong. Azorius, I've been actually on Magic Arena is my most successful decks, our Azorius decks.
Yeah.
I don't know really why that is, but yeah, and I didn't get a chance to, we didn't get a chance to play Orzhov, but our friends did, and Nicholas, if you know him as our Good Luck High Five board game guy, he went 4-0 with Orzhov.
Yeah. I think looking at each of the guilds, right, like Orzhov very much has the afterlife thing where it's just like you're just going to outlast them.
Yeah.
You're going to survive and hold on long enough that you kill them with little ghosts, which was how I lost to Orzhov.
Yeah.
It was just sort of like, okay, we trade, and now you have a bunch of ghosts.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to die to these ghosts.
Maybe Orzhov is the control deck of the format.
But that being said, I feel like you mentioned, Rakdos kind of feels that way too.
Honestly,
where
does.
there's more ways.
Yeah.
It has some expensive kill spells, like get to the point. Sometimes you look at removal like Skewer the Critics and you're like, this is great because it can go to the face.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it also is very good at killing creatures.
Absolutely. And I think Rakdos is giving us a bit of a clue too with some of his creatures, like Blade Juggler. That thing costs 5 mana or 3 or whatever, but it's not necessarily a really aggressive card.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's we're drawing a card off and we're doing a damage to ourselves.
There's also the 4 mana enchantment that will ping your opponent.
Ill-gotten Inheritance, is that what it is?
I don't remember.
Okay, something like that.
Yeah. Which is also, it's a slower card, but it has a lot of reach. It's going to enable all of your spectacle, but it costs 4.
Yeah.
Like, that's not cheap.
Exactly.
But Rakdos isn't looking at being like a bunch of little cheap creatures. Gruul, you're really looking for those big, like those great stats for the right mana cost, like 3/3s for 3. That their clan person, the 4 mana ones that are like 2 of each mana symbol, is a 5/5 for 4.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stats
nuts.
you're looking for. There's like the 5 mana 6/5 that has to attack each turn.
Yeah.
Like that's where Gruul wants to be, is the bigger the stats and the lower the mana cost. Just like stick that buddy in there. Exactly.
Our preview card, Ethereal Absolution, was backbreaking all weekend.
Yes, all weekend.
For a lot of people. And it's a rare.
Yeah.
And it was called by LSV the best card for limited.
Nice.
So you know what? No big deal.
Speaking of, we've talked about how it's correct, like you said, with Rhythm of the Wild, correct to main deck enchantment removal.
Yeah.
Ethereal Absolution.
There you go.
Definitely won games online.
Yep.
Because I was main decking enchantment removal and they played their Ethereal Absolution like, now I'm going to win. And I'm like, and it's gone.
And Ill-gotten Inheritance, sometimes you have to get rid of that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that needs to go.
Sometimes you just kill a locket, and I guess that's fine. You deprive them of cards late in the game. Mm-hmm. There is the one that gives +X to a creature when it attacks alone based on the number of creatures you control.
Yeah.
That is a very good enchantment.
The Angelic
Exaltation or
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth killing for sure if you see it. There is the Azorius Detention, whatever.
Yeah.
Law Mage's Binding or something.
Yeah.
All of this stuff worth killing.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, fun story. I played Detention Doctor. What is it?
Detention Doctor? Did you just call it Detention Doctor?
I love this time when we're not really sure of what these cards are called. Deputy of Detention.
Yes.
That's it. I played it and stole 3 of my opponent's lockets online. I thought that was very fun.
Nice.
So
the best time I used it, I got if you name spirits. Yeah. You get a bunch of little spirits.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't even matter if they remove it. It's
Great.
like a good day. And I feel like Simic and Azorius, at least my experience so far, has been that they are more about evasion and tempo.
Yeah, agree.
Whereas, like we said, sometimes, at least I went into it being like, Azorius tends to be very controlling, but really it feels like it's more about getting some good flyers in the air and then finding ways to make sure that they don't kill you.
I've drafted the set a couple of times on Arena so far. So we're, of course, going to be doing more of that, and we'll have more about draft coming up, next week and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to put a little PSA out there about decks that you can draft that aren't, just strictly aligning with the guilds. And I mean, obviously, you can play more colors. I played 3 colors in both of these pre-release decks thanks to all the gates running around.
I actually want to talk about that more.
Yeah, let's talk about that first.
So let's talk about, do you feel this is a 3+ color format? And I think, so for me, the answer is both yes and no.
Yeah, I'm going to go, I'll say yes. I mean, I think the benefits are there and the strain on your mana is not.
Yes. I had an opponent on the second pre-release who played on turn 3 Gruul Spellbreaker.
Yeah.
and then on the next turn played Sphinx of Foresight. So that's a 1 green red on turn 3 and a blue 2 on turn 4, which was impressive. I also still won that game.
Wow. That is impressive.
Yes. Thank you. So like that says yes, but also I went strict 2 color on both days. I did not feel like my deck was underpowered on either day, right? Which is usually the biggest concern.
Yes.
Is you look at it and you're like, should I splash so that I have access to more powerful cards? And I did have some good cards that I could have splashed, but I didn't know if it was going to feel worth it. And honestly, the consistency of my deck felt like where I wanted to be.
Yeah, you've got to have a super good reason to do it every time.
Exactly. And my deck was so consistent every time, and it didn't feel underpowered. Like my losses were usually to like late in the game, one person flooding out or one person, you know, like having the tempo disadvantage in that kind of situation, as opposed to, oh, they just played too many powerful things. So I'm going to also say, if you're looking at your pool and you're like, I don't have great fixing, should I splash these things, or my fixing is medium? Consistency is great.
Yeah. Consistency
is a great thing. And I don't know that it's a necessary thing in this format to splash unless you're really struggling.
The thing that I find in this versus Guilds of Ravnica, as far as sealed is concerned, and we do have a Magic Fest tournament and a Grand Prix coming up in New Jersey this coming weekend. So if you're going over there, the splashing with the gates seems much more viable and much better than in Guilds of Ravnica.
Yes.
Guilds of Ravnica, the guilds did not interact, I think, the way that maybe even design wanted them to. They were kind of nombos sometimes of each other, and you didn't really want to splash. Maybe one removal if you're in Demir, you know, like status statue or something, but like that was it.
Yeah.
And here, the guilds play better together. Like Gruul and Simic are best friends forever.
Yeah, they really are.
And just is perfect. And Rakdos and Orzhov, if you have some sacrifice stuff going on, that makes sense. But yeah, I just think that's pretty cool that we now can mix our flavors a little bit more successfully together, and makes for me personally more fun. Limited gameplay for sure.
Yeah.
And creative gameplay too.
For sure.
So I was talking about gates and draft. Yeah, so the Gates deck is a real deck, and people have been playing it on Magic Arena, and I tried it out last night for science, and also because the bots aren't taking Gates, and hopefully this will be rectified soon because it's craziness out there. I got 3 Gate Colossuses in my deck with no effort whatsoever, and Gatebreaker Rams, which is very, very, very good.
A Gatebreaker Ram is a great card.
That card is excellent.
Yeah.
And Gates Ablaze, which in that deck is a one-sided wrath because your creatures are so much bigger than your opponents, and you can just wrath for 1,000,000 because you have 1,000,000,000 gates. And yeah, it's a super fun deck if you can get it, and hopefully it'll be a little harder to get in the future because the bots won't just let your gates fly on by. But yeah, if you want to try something kind of fun, I think that's a fun deck to try too. And I think there's a lot of possibility in draft for build around uncommons, which is something we look to when we see a new set and like, ooh, I'm going to take this, I'm going to make a weird deck. Like the Goblin deck is out there.
Yes.
What do you draft? The Goblin card? And
Goblins, Burn Bright.
And Burn Bright, that's it. +2/+0
Goblins, Burn Bright.
Great. I hope that deck happens soon. If you make it, please tweet us a picture.
Please do.
At GLHF Magic, because
I can't wait to lose to that deck at least once.
I mean, you can't even be mad.
No. Goblins.
You get like goblins based on 2+ the number of cards of that card in your graveyard.
Yes.
So it's like Garbage Fire. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, what set was that?
That was
a conspiracy set?
That was a conspiracy set because that one was based on the number of cards named Garbage Fire that you had drafted.
And you could just Garbage Fire for like 10 or whatever, and it was not hard.
Yeah. So that's a little wrap up for now.
I know. Much more on draft coming next week. And we'll be keeping our eye on the tournament this weekend for sure. I'm super excited to find out what happens. I almost said watch it, but that's not happening. I'm sad now. Now I'm sad. Ultra Pro is great, and we just got a new influx of goods from them.
They now have these beautiful guild sleeves.
These things are awesome.
They're gorgeous. I'm holding the Azorius ones. I love them so much.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm usually just like, I put sleeves on my cards for efficiency's sake, right? They're easier to shuffle. They last longer. But these I want to put on my cards.
Absolutely. I've got the Rakdos ones here. I use them all weekend.
Look
They're
at these.
excellent.
Oh, the Orzhov ones, gorgeous.
I put them on my Gruul deck. I love them so much.
They look so, all of the guilds, like the art is just like crisp and clean, and the color
really
pairs that they
great.
chose,
Yeah.
they're just
Like, this is the
bold
right
and
red.
striking. There's also some really cool like art from cards that is out there on these sleeves right now. They also have these awesome new dice that have their D6s, and each side has like the little loyalty symbol.
Yeah, I love it.
Which is cool, but what I really like about them is how big they are.
Yeah.
They're really
Easy
they're
to
like
read.
nice big dice for keeping your board states nice and clean. Do you know what? It's really important. I've realized
it is
this
so
weekend
important.
how important it is to me.
Yep.
Like there are people who are trying to represent spirit tokens with like dice and stuff. And I was
No.
like, no, we're not
No.
doing this. We're not doing this. So Ultra Pro also has their relic tokens.
Yes.
And they now have a giant box of
Look
them.
at this!
You can buy the lineage
24
collection.
packs of them.
24 packs of relic tokens.
These things are awesome and
They're
will
so good.
represent your lovely tokens, or be your life counter.
Or be your life counter. Like literally whatever you need. So yeah, you can now get giant box of those.
Yeah, ultrapro.com or cardkingdom.com/GLHF for a lot of sweet Ultra Pro swag. Let's talk about Arena and the metagame for Constructed.
Yes. Do you know what?
What?
Best of one. Mono people are out there just smashing with mono red.
Absolutely.
Because it is consistent. You're not going to have to mulligan. You're not
Nope.
going to have mana troubles. Your hand's just always going to be a bunch of little things that you can cast.
Yep.
And get your opponent dead real quick.
Yeah. So if you didn't listen to our upkeep last week or know, with the once we kind of transition out of what they're calling, this season on Magic Arena, and we enter our second one, which I think is on the 31st, the new season, we're going to have the option to play competitive best of 3 ranked on Arena in Constructed, which I think is so much better. We've talked about on the show a lot, and this red deck and best of 1 is a perfect illustration as to why.
Yes.
It's
just
too
warped.
good.
It's warped and weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's almost its own format.
It's a different format.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's not standard.
No, I don't know what it is.
No, it's just best of 1 standard, I guess, is
Yeah.
what you can call it. But it deserves to have its own name because it does not feel like a standard format.
No, I agree. I was laddering for a while, and I was playing my Boros Angels deck, which had been my standard deck of choice this past season. And after a point, I just literally could not play it anymore. It was like, if I go in here, I'm just going to lose all of my ranks because it just dies immediately to mono red, even though it is a good matchup. But that
Yeah.
is dependent on making some changes in your sideboard.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And it just feels gross. and
like
weird.
I have a Danto Vanguard in there, like
Nope.
that card is garbage in that matchup.
Yes.
But yeah, I saw a lot of mono red. Mono white was the other deck you would see to combat
Yep.
that. People are like, ooh, we're playing a mini metagame. I'm going to play a life gain deck or whatever. So it's kind of a little bit of coin flip there on who has the better opening hand
Yeah.
to win that game.
Which is not, at least for me, not where I want to be.
No way. Are you kidding me? I guess Mono Blue Tempo is another one people played. And you see the connection here? These are all monocolored decks. Very aggressive, very fast.
Yes.
And they're closing out the game before anybody can do anything. That being said, people did reach Mythic playing control decks like blue-white control and, what am I thinking of?
Jeskai control.
Jeskai control, Fog, Turbo Fog did make
Yes.
it. These things happened.
Yeah.
But I think overall, the number of decks that I saw of the aforementioned types was much higher.
way higher.
Than that kind
It's
of
very
stuff.
frustrating.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. So I just stopped playing
Yeah.
ladder. And that's what I said would happen.
Exactly. And that's
Just stop.
You want people to be able to enjoy your format.
Yeah. It's just not magic for me. Like
Yeah.
after a while, it's just like, well,
But-
I don't know what I'm doing.
Best of 3 is on its way, and I cannot wait to
I'm so
see
excited.
the decks that people are brewing.
I know.
I think Gruul seems to me like a place where people are right now, where
Yes.
they're like looking for some heavy hitters.
Oh yeah, Gruul Spellbreaker, excellent card. People
Yeah.
are playing actually Rhythm of the Wild in Standard,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty cool. And the Dragon, the 5/5 Dragon,
Yeah.
for 5, I think is an all-star in that deck too.
So I'm excited to see what we're looking at in a couple of weeks here.
Yeah, what do you want to play in Standard?
Wow. I've been playing Is It Drake's recently.
Yeah.
And I love it.
So do you have new toys for your Is It Drake's deck, or do you want to do something
I don't know yet.
different?
We'll see. I am sad that I only recently discovered how much I enjoy playing that deck. Because
It's really fun.
It is a lot of fun. And a lot of it is just sort of like keep alive. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll 20 them with a pair of Drakes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Hasty Drakes.
They're not even hasty.
Oh.
They're just, it's like,
Do you have the version with
maximize
velocity?
Velocity, no.
Okay.
But it's still great. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do it that turn. It's just sort of like, okay, I played this Drake. I didn't die. Now you're dead.
Brutal.
Drakes.
I saw a few control decks wandering around that use Kaya to win.
I was going to say, I'm excited potentially to see black-white control.
Yeah, I think
Actually.
I think it could be a thing.
I think with Kaya's Wrath, and it might even be more of like a mid-range control where it's looking at using some number of creatures, potentially with Afterlife, as much as it pains me to say that control decks would put creatures in them. But I'm excited to see what that might look like.
Exactly. Yeah, the world is our oyster currently in Standard, and we should
And who doesn't love an oyster?
Ugh.
We know we don't.
Me. I just can't eat a pile of snot. I'm
don't
sorry.
call it that.
It's ocean snot. It's snot of the ocean.
Surprisingly, they haven't adopted that as their slogan for marketing oysters, and I don't know why.
So many Magic players have tried to get me to eat oysters. I don't know what the deal
snot
is
of the ocean
with Magic players and oysters, but I'm off it.
That's weird.
I'm off it. I mean, I feel like Magic players, a lot of them are like foodies, so I guess it kind of makes sense for whatever reason, but we should build some fun decks on stream and play with them.
You can always check out our stream at twitch.tv/GLHF Magic. We stream Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, go give us a follow so you know when we're going to be live.
We'll build you some weird decks.
Yeah, and if you have some super sweet brews, you can also always send them on over.
Yes, we love looking at
out.
other people's lists and giving them a spin.
We haven't gotten all the cards yet for the set because it's super early on, but by the end of the set, we basically could
have all
almost
of
build
them.
everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, send them on over if you've got a spicy brew that's been working for you. It's time for our first Ravnica Allegiance Flavor Text Theater.
That's right. We're going to crack this sweet, sweet booster of Ravnica Allegiance and play our very favorite flavor text theater of movie pitches.
Movie pitches!
Also, if you happen to be in Minneapolis right now on Wednesdays in January and February, Maria and I are doing an improv show.
Yeah.
Where we basically flavor text
It's a
theater.
live flavor text theater.
It's a live flavor text theater. So that's hugetheater.com. And that's the Wednesday show. If you ever are in the cities and you want to come check it out on a Wednesday evening in January or February.
Super fun.
It is a lot of fun. And yeah, we get to do movie pitches, which is our favorite
and then
flavor text theater.
We act them out. So
Yes.
you would get to see these movies live.
And isn't that what you all really want?
And we've been talking about these are recorded, which is never really the way to watch improv, but putting them on our Patreon for patrons to see.
So if you've been wondering, why should I become a patron? Well, hopefully you enjoy this. and you want to help us stay alive.
Yeah.
But you can also potentially watch our improv sets of Flavor Text Theater.
See these movies
live.
Come to
Not
life.
live, but on live. Yes.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right. So this is a movie about the tale of a mythic hunter, and she's like known far and wide as this amazing slayer of beasts, dragons that kingdoms need slayed. They'll call her up, right? The most difficult dragons to slay, the most difficult creatures out there. And a kingdom is having issues with this cursed forest. Ooh. And they're like, no one can go in here. No one can even go near it. Every year the forest grows, and we know that there's a beast at the center of the forest that's keeping it alive.
A pig in the woods?
A pig in the woods, essentially.
If you will.
Yes. That's keeping this forest and this dark magic alive, and we need you to go slay. And she's like, of course I will. So she goes in, but there she meets the beast, And it's like this mythical beast. And it teaches her that actually what she should be striving for is greater harmony. And there's no reason why the people who have this kingdom also need the forest, right? They need to coexist peacefully.
Beautiful.
And it's the end of her days of slaying and the beginning of the days of her trying to create greater peace in the world. It's called Axebane Beast.
Oh, that's great. That's a great one. All right, my movie is this is similar to a flavor text theater that we did live the other week. There's a playwright living back in England back in the day, the time of the Black Plague and all this kind of things, like 1400s, and struggling and unable to write. And one day he sits down and starts to pen a play and realizes he is in fact writing about the Black Plague in his play, and thus creates it in reality.
What?
So he's the reason the Black Plague happened, but he can't stop. It's like he's compelled to write, and he must write this play, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and terrible and terrible. And it's the worst plague the world has ever seen. And it's kind of like a curse that he has to deal with, and he will do anything to stop writing this play to end the plague. And he also has that thing like when you're a kid and you can't pronounce your R's and you pronounce them as W's. Anyway, the name of this movie is Plague White. Get it? It's
yes,
Plague White.
Oh, I love it. Did you know, one, that there was another plague that like called the Coughing Plague, I want to say,
Ooh.
during the time of King Henry VIII and Thomas Cromwell.
Yeah.
Thomas Cromwell's wife actually died of it. And it was basically what I'm saying is like, even though we know the story, we're always told the story of the Black Plague.
Yeah.
There were just a bunch of plagues.
Oh.
Like every summer, this one would come around and
God.
people would die in a day.
How did people
Literally
even live?
I don't even know. In the morning, they would wake up and be a little bit sick, and by the evening, they'd be dead.
Oh my God. The one that freaks me out is the Spanish flu, because you'd be super sick and then you would be better. And you're like, hey, what's up, for like a day, and then boom, you were dead.
Oof, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there'd be a day when you would feel like you were great and everything was fine, and that's when you knew.
That's so creepy.
The next day you were, yeah.
Also, Plague White reminded me of what's the movie that I'm thinking of that has Maggie Gyllenhaal and Will Ferrell?
I don't know.
and
That is a bizarre combo.
Emma Thompson.
Really?
Yes. Stranger Than Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction. Yep, that's it. That is it.
Sorry.
That is, yeah, it was a little Stranger Than Fiction for sure.
Was. Okay, this is the story of a kid goes up.
I'm not doing that.
A kid is visiting a castle, and in like a dusty corner of this castle, they find a suit of armor, and it comes to life.
Watching it, King Arthur's court. Let's go.
And the suit of armor comes to life, and it turns out it's haunted. It's a haunted suit of armor, and the kid's like, "Why are you haunted?" And the suit of armor and the knight inside is just like very sad. It's like, I did a lot of terrible things in my life, and I'm trapped here until I make amends. And so the kid and the suit of armor travel the world, finding the descendants of the people that the knight wronged in his lifetime, and making things right with them until finally the knight is solved, makes good on everything that he ever did bad. It's called Night of Sorrows.
Oh, great. That is nice. That's nice. Our movies are very good today. Yeah. All right. This movie is Choose Your Own Adventure. So it's like the Netflix one that just came out where you could choose what happens.
Yeah.
And in this, there's a child who, is a young teen, and they've got to deal with some things and make some decisions in their life. And they happen upon a pair of wells next to each other, which might seem redundant, and in fact probably is, but they're magical. And in the water of the wells, they look down and they can see two potential futures that they could choose, and then they dive into one, and then they live that future. And at some point, they make a very bad decision about which well to dive into, and the rest of the movie is them trying to figure out how to undo the choice that they made earlier and come back to a good life.
Wow.
Shimmer of possibility.
Into it. Into it. Okay, mine are all like in one kind of genre today, but it's what I've been getting.
Okay.
Actually, I'll change it. This one is set in a post-apocalyptic future.
Great.
And
My
it's
favorite.
It's a woman who has lived the entire time out in the middle of nowhere, essentially with like a tiny enclave that survived the apocalypse way back when, and now they still just live out in the middle of nowhere because they don't know what the rest of the world looks like. And she's like, I'm gonna go look. And so she goes and she finds the ruin of what used to be an enormous city. And she walks through it, and at first she's like, there's no one here, but then the ruins themselves come alive and talk to her.
Yes.
And she basically, I don't even know what happens in this movie.
I mean,
if it's just a conversation between a woman and a giant city that was destroyed in an apocalypse.
And it's alive. The city is alive.
The city itself, the buildings are alive. It's called Rumbling Ruin.
Ooh, that's cool.
Right?
All right. This next one is also a post-apocalyptic future, but more like, what am I trying to say? What's the word? Why can't I think of it? My brain this morning. You know, where it's bad. It's a bad future.
What?
You know, like 1984. What's that genre? Gosh, it's really bugging me that I can't think of it.
Now that you said that, I feel like I thought it, but then you were like, I can't think of it, and I couldn't think of it either.
Yeah, I know. That's weird. Anyway, you know
dystopian.
Dystopian, thank you. That's what it is. Future. In which, there's military control in whatever form that takes. And we follow one character who is particularly good at their job of going out into the populace and arresting people for various offenses or whatnot. And as an incentive for these people who arrest to want to be really good at their job and do it and stay loyal to the government, they are given a piece of that person's talent, whoever they arrest. It's a really weird, like futuristic like thing that they suck it out of their body and they get it added to their persona, and that person doesn't have it anymore. So it's also like super tragic. So our hero is like a super good painter. They're really skilled at conversation and dance and like all these things that you could steal from people. Anyway, one time they steal from somebody a trait that is negative that they weren't sure of, and they're just like, oh, this is actually awful. I didn't mean to take this from them, and now they second guess everything that they've been doing, and in fact work and rebel against the government and give back the gifts to the people that were stolen.
Greenlit.
Arrester's zeal. That's actually cool. Like as it was going together, I'm like, oh, wait a second, that's messed up. And could actually be kind of neat. All right, anyway.
All right, this one's like a very art house film that I'm about to describe.
Excellent.
And it's about seeing a war between two neighboring countries through the eyes of one person who is at a checkpost, like a checkpoint, and helps people from either side like move back and forth and move goods and supplies past this like very fraught border between these two places because they've been at war for forever. And so it's just like basically a snapshot of like, what does this war between two neighboring countries look like through the eyes of one person who gets to see both sides of it and see people moving between both sides and see goods moving between both sides despite all of the difficulties. Gateway sneak.
That's great. I'm sure that
you can see it at the Cannes Film Festival.
It is
this
definitely
year.
there, and it has definitely got great marks. This next film is a horror movie, and it is also a rare, which is in foil, by the way.
Ooh.
Foil rare.
We have a foil rare and we have a mythic because
great.
I grabbed Hydroid Crassus, but I could not think of a film for it. So
yeah, that one's tough.
Yes,
that one's tough.
But mythic Hydroid Crassus.
So this one is the same as like The Conjuring, where a family finds a new house that's old and haunted by spirits. The problem is these spirits that live in the house, if you come into contact with them, touch you and basically turn you into an evil spirit that also haunts the house.
Oh,
so
what? Just don't go in that house.
Yeah, you're like, don't go upstairs or up in that house or anywhere near it.
Burn that house down. Good day.
So there's like hundreds of spirits infesting this house, if you will, going around and touching people and turning them into spirits that haunt it as well. Pestilence spirit.
Ooh.
Pestilence spirit. Find it everywhere fine movies are found this Halloween.
All right. I've got one that's about it's about a person who accidentally, this is so sad. And
Sometimes
topical,
you gotta get
about
so
a person who accidentally starts a forest fire.
Oh.
And they feel horrible about it.
Yeah.
As
they should.
They should. It's a massive forest fire, right? It rages for days. People lose homes. People lose lives. And this person, just as they realize what happened and that it was their fault, it's just sort of like they're gripped, instead of by feeling bad about what they've done, they've just gripped by like this feeling of like, I've done something so bad I can never go back. I'm just going to embrace it. And so they
They go all the way over.
Yes, they go all the way over. They're like, there's no redemption for me. And eventually they find that there is, but it's Burning Tree Vandal.
Ooh, that's great. That's great. This final film also has to deal with well, maybe it's not. I don't know. Let's put it in the past, in Victorian England, a different past perhaps, but almost the same. And there's a young woman who is our hero, and she is forced by her family and her mother every day to dress, in the tightest corset and just like it just laced up into oblivion. Same with all of her friends. They've all been laced up into oblivion, and it's just terrible. Until one day they find an underground club in Paris, which the women are like ripping off their corsets and like burning them on a fire, and it's just great. And they're just like, oh wow, I didn't know this reality existed. This is excellent.
Into this already.
Yeah. Yes. And they like find this newfound freedom. But instead of, at some point they realize, well, we've got to rebel against, the people who are making us put the corsets on in the first place rather than just burning them. They decide to hide knives inside the boning of their corsets instead of the whalebone, so that they just pull them out and just start stabbing.
Now it's weirder.
It is a little strange. So it's like what would have happened if this had happened. Knives hidden in corsets to be the boning and take them out and slit the throats of the people who are oppressing them. Law mages binding.
Oh.
Which
weird.
kind of reminds me of there's a few films that it reminds me of, but what I'm thinking of specifically had Nicole Kidman in it, and it was about the Civil War in the South. Gosh, I can't think of the name of it. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there you go. There's some movies. Paramount, 21st Century Fox. Call us at any point in time. We're here.
Yeah,
we'll answer the call. But yeah, these cards.
Bling, bling.
We've got a mythic and a foil rare.
Yes.
Which, by the way, we've got to do a giveaway for December. We haven't given it away yet.
Well, we're also going to send whoever gets this giveaway, and also whoever gets the next one, some really sweet stuff that we've gotten just in the last couple of days from Ultra Pro.
Yeah.
So it was worth it to wait.
Yes.
As we talked about on our little Ultra Pro segment, we've got awesome dice. We'll send you some guild sleeves.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
What?
Just for this episode, while we've talked about these sick guild sleeves.
Yeah.
If you comment below with your favorite guild, we'll pick a handful.
Oh,
we'll
great.
randomly draw a handful and send you the guild sleeves that are of your favorite guild.
Yeah, so go to YouTube to see this. If you're already there, you've
You're
done
already
it.
there.
You've done it. Comment below with your favorite guild and why.
Yes.
I want to know why.
That's right. And we'll randomly draw a couple of those.
Yeah, so we're going to draw for December coming up. And then in the link below is a link to our January giveaway, which is on Gleam. You can enter that, and then we'll draw for that like pretty quick here now. It's already the 21st. So
dang,
drawings on top of drawings.
Drawings.
But we've got sweet swag from Card Kingdom, Ultra Pro, and Good Luck High Five to throw into these pots for you to.
That's right.
Well, everybody, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five this week.
That's right. Don't forget to check out some of our other offerings, like the Upkeep for that little hit of magic news. Again, that's just 10 minutes or less. It'll tell you everything that you need to know that's going on this week, and easy to catch up on because it's only 10 minutes. So if you've missed one, go back and nab it.
Yeah, so that comes out Monday afternoons in its podcast form and also the video form.
Yes.
Mondays probably. Yeah. we're still working out a schedule, but I think that'll work out.
We've also got a board game review up this week from our board games guy, Nicholas, as we do every week.
Yeah.
This week, it's a game he played at PAX Unplugged, and he loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's called War Chest.
Yes. You played it with him.
I played it with him. The components are excellent, which is very important for me in games. And it's basically like better chess. That's how I described it. It's like
Nice.
chess, but way better.
Yes.
So
And if you're here talking about Magic, chances are you like those kinds of elements in games, those really strategic thinking elements, those great decisions. So definitely check that one out.
yeah, absolutely. That's over at youtube.com/GLHF board games. You can hit sub over there to find out when our board game reviews go live on Mondays. And as Megan said, our Twitch stream up and running 3 days a week. You can always depend on it, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, unless there's a strange fire or other unforeseen events.
Yes.
That's when you'll be able to find us, which I think is really cool. Yeah, we just got a ton of stuff going on, and I'm super excited with all the new content that we're putting out there, and hopefully you all are too, and you appreciate the stuff that we're doing for you.
Yeah. All right. You know, if you haven't already, consider becoming a patron.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/GLHFmagic. Yeah. And shout out to everyone who's a patron already. Once again.
Absolutely.
And our sponsors, Ultra Pro and Card Kingdom.
A shout out!